Hi everyone, how are you? Hopefully everybody's okay. Hello Joe, Darren, Elioy, Peter, everybody in the chat. Hi everyone, glad you can all make it. As you can see, the colour is well and truly back into my face. Today's the first full day work I've actually done in about 10 days. Usually I've been managed to do it, but you know, it's like when you've got a chest infection, you can't concentrate and your attention span's awful. But yeah, today's the first full day I've managed to do, so there's a lot to get through tonight. I don't think I had the man flu, by the way. I think it was, you know, we always call it the man flu. It was a chest infection, I think. There's like a winter chest infection going around in my area, and everybody's had it. I was, you know, whenever I go out walking the dog, I'm coughing, and people are saying, "Oh, you've got it too," and you know, so it's one of those bugs that have gone round. It was my turn, I suppose. Saw Tulsi, she was magnificent, says Titch. Hi Titch. Yes, I did too, and we will be talking about that at length tonight. To be honest, I think I could probably, if I was to record this, and I did record it, but then more has happened since. And if I was to record this video, it might be about 45 minutes long. There's so much to get through, so I'm just going to, I've got a monster echo. Oh, have I got a monster echo, have I? Oh, I have, yes. I've still got my analytics on, that's why. How's that? Hopefully you shouldn't, yeah. Okay, everything seems to be fine now. No more rig directions. Yeah, that was a fraudulent slip, wasn't it? Erection. Hey Neil, how are you? Did anybody watch the State of the Union, by the way, on Tuesday? I did the live stream on Reddit, which was great, by the way. I was really pleased that they asked me to do that. I think I'm going to get more involved in Reddit. It doesn't seem to be like Facebook or Twitter or any of the rest, so, and the people seem to be awesome there, so I might get more involved in it. But on Tuesday after that, I had somebody say, "Are you going to cover the State of the Union?" I'm like, no way, it's 2 o'clock in the morning. So I went to bed and I was watching it in bed. I was watching the Jimmy Dore feed, and I turned it off. For the first time ever, I turned off a Jimmy Dore live stream, and it wasn't because Jimmy was crap, it was just because every sentence out of his mouth was just, you know, it wasn't anything to do with ordinary people's lives in America. You know, it wasn't going to affect any ordinary people. I was going to do a video on it, but then I thought, no, I can't even be bothered. It's just so boring, you know. It was terrible. So that was the first time I turned that off. That was that State of the Union was it was awful, and especially the line where he said America will never be a socialist country. That was one I wanted to do the video around. I might do at some stage. Thank you, MT Unit, very, very appreciated. Yeah, he did. He was a great stream, Hoppy Rabbit. He did a good job. It's just, you know, I couldn't. Every time he muted it, every time he muted the State of the Union, I was like, oh, thank God for that. I don't have to listen. And then they'd unmute it. I'm like, oh no, please, just let me hear Jimmy taking the piss out of them, please. No, it's just. But Jimmy Dore's feed was the best for the State of the Union, much better than Sam Cedars. Well, yeah, that goes without saying, Kinky. Sam Cedar covered State of the Union, did he? Oh. Bless him. So I suppose I better get to these stories. I've got quite a few stories I want to get to today. Which could be a long one. That's what he said. Hi everyone. So Theresa May has gone back to the EU today to try and renegotiate this deal, and she's come out. And, well, I mean, just listen to this interview that she did with Laura Kuenssberg. This is her response after this meeting, in which the EU has basically said, "Listen, we're not going to renegotiate this because it's what you're asking for is pathetic." But I'll get into that in a minute. Let me just play this. Just listen to what this woman says.
What is it that you've been specifically asking the European Union for? Because their leaders don't seem to think that you have anything new.
Well, I've had a good series of meetings today. We've had robust discussions, but they've been constructive. What I've set out is our clear position that we must secure legally binding changes to the withdrawal agreement to deal with the concerns that Parliament has over the backstop. And taking that, changes to the backstop, together with the other work that we're doing on workers' rights and other issues, will deliver a stable majority in Parliament, and that's what I will continue to push for. Now, it's not going to be easy, but crucially, President Juncker and I have agreed that talks will now start to find a way through this, to find a way to get this over the line and to deliver on the concerns that Parliament has, so we get a majority in Parliament. And I'm clear that I am going to deliver Brexit, I'm going to deliver it on time. That's what I'm going to do for the British public. I'll be negotiating hard in the coming days to do just that.
But, Prime Minister, you keep asking for changes to the withdrawal agreement.
Just bear me a second, guys. A little bit of a technical technical fault here. I'll have to edit this for the stream when I'm making the video, but okay, let's try that again. So this is what she had to say.
What is it that you've been specifically asking the European Union for? Because their leaders don't seem to think that you have anything new.
Okay, that's a good question by Laura Kunsberg, because that's the stance. That's the obvious glaring thing that's coming out from all this. What's the point in doing all this? They're saying no. You keep saying we're going to renegotiate, but they're saying no. What's the point? It's a good question.
Well, I've had a good series of meetings today. We've had robust discussions, but they've been constructive. What I've set out is our clear position that we must secure legally binding changes to the withdrawal agreement to deal with the concerns that Parliament has over the backstop. And taking that, changes to the backstop, together with the other work that we're doing on workers' rights and other issues, will deliver a stable majority in Parliament, and that's what I will continue to push for. Now, it's not going to be easy, but crucially, President Juncker and I have agreed that talks will now start to find a way through this, to find a way to get this over the line and to deliver on the concerns that Parliament has, so we get a majority in Parliament.
So that's about 45 seconds so far of an answer where she hasn't answered the question, but she's talked a lot. This is classic policy. She's very good at it. I must say, they're very good at just talking and not actually saying anything. It's complete word salad, that. Deal. She's going to deliver Brexit. She's going to deliver it on time. You heard her. She's going to do the deal. She's going to deliver Brexit. She's going to deliver on time. Now, Laura Kunsberg here, I know a lot of people give her a lot of grief, and I think in some cases rightly so, and in some none. But since I started doing this this video channel, if you like, I've got a list of rules that I go by, and one of the rules, I think it's rule 18, is to listen to people in their own words before I cast judgment upon them. And Laura Kunsberg here is very, very, very good. She hasn't been on something else in the last year, which I called her out on, but everything else she has been very good, and she nails it and comes back at the Prime Minister and really keeps asking her this question. She asks her two more times, and two more times the Prime Minister avoids the question before she finally walks off. Watch.
Prime Minister, you keep asking for changes to the withdrawal agreement, the divorce deal. The European Union very firmly keeps saying no. Now, Donald Tusk said some of your colleagues...
Look at her face. Look at that face. She is pissed here.
Should be sent to hell in the end yesterday. Aren't you stuck in some kind of purgatory?
No, first of all, I've raised with President Tusk the language that he used yesterday, which was not helpful and caused widespread dismay in the United Kingdom. And the point
he's called widespread dismay. Let it play, Gordon.
I made to him is that we should both be working to ensure that we can deliver a close relationship between the United Kingdom and the European Union in the future, and that's what he should be focusing on.
But why do you believe that in the end they may change their minds? Because everything that comes out of European leaders' mouths here says they will.
So Laura Kunsberg now has asked the same question. This is the third time she has asked this question. And again, she's getting pissed off here, you can see.
Not change that part of the agreement, the divorce deal?
Well, I've set out very clearly the position from Parliament that we must have legally binding changes.
Okay, don't answer the question, but don't answer the question in a different way.
The backstop. What I see and hear from leaders is a desire for us to work together to ensure that we can deliver the UK leaving the European Union with a deal. My work is to deliver Brexit, to deliver it on time, and I'm going to be negotiating hard in the coming days to do just that. Thank you.
Bye. And there you go, she walks off. So I want to give full credit to Laura Kunsberg there. She asked that question 3 times on the trot, and 3 times she dodged the question in 3 different ways. Well, the same way, just in different wording. She's in denial, the woman is. She's totally in denial. The EU have said, and I've said this every time I've spoke about Brexit over the last 2 or 3 months, and it's or rather since she had this deal, unless she comes back with a cast iron plan of, okay, this will work and I'll be able to get it through the Houses of Parliament, then the EU will say, okay, we'll look at it. But at the moment, she's offering them nothing. So why would the EU open up a deal that they spent 2 years negotiating? It's just a waste of 2 years otherwise, isn't it? So she says that she will deliver the deal on time. She will get a deal. She'll deliver it on time. And we will leave the EU on March the 29th, or whatever it is. That's what she says. Remember that guy waving that bit of paper? Neville Chamberlain. 1938, that was, what's that, 62, 70, 81 years ago. That was the last time somebody was as wrong as Theresa May is right now. She's not going to get a deal. She's not going to get a deal, and she's certainly not going to get it on time. And she's certainly not going to get a deal that will get through the Houses of Parliament, and this is the problem all along. Now, the EU response has been to that. Juncker's response was really not good. They're getting quite frustrated, the EU are, with her. And you can see she says there that they were robust talks. So Juncker and Tusk, I think, are, to be honest, losing their patience with her and saying that his language caused widespread dismay. No, Theresa May, your balls up of this Brexit and your refusal to enact what 17.4 million people voted for because you don't want to do anything that might affect your precious union, your Conservative and Union Party. Yeah, okay, that is what people are in widespread dismay about. Now, what she said she wants there is she wants legally binding assurances regards the backstop, which the EU have said we're not going to give you, and she wants some she says she's got to work on protections for workers' rights and other things as well, whatever those other things are. She doesn't go into details. So, will she be able to deliver this? Will she be able to deliver it at all? Will she be able to deliver a deal? Will she be able to deliver Brexit? And will she be able to deliver it on time? My fear is now I've said all along that they don't want a Brexit and they'll kick the can down the road as far as possible, and they have done. I've been right on that so far. However, my fear is that they are actually going to we are going to end up de facto with what they are calling a no-deal Brexit, which in itself, the wording is propaganda, because it's not a no-deal Brexit, it's a Brexit under WTO rules, which is essentially the same way as America and Australia deal with the rest of the world. So no-deal Brexit, a bit of scaremongering there. It's more like a Brexit on WTO terms. And my fear is that they are going to use the fear of a no-deal Brexit and the excuse that we've had a no-deal Brexit and we've got to tighten our belts. Jamal Thomas spotted this, and this was the government's draft proposal to what would happen if we had a no-deal Brexit, and they called it Operation Yellowhammer. And this just shows how evil the Tories are, because the reason it's called Operation Yellowhammer, as the Irish Times reported here, Brexit for the birds, Frank McNally on what Operation Yellowhammer really means. Remember, this is the draft thing that the UK government, or Theresa May, put out in case we're going to have a no-deal Brexit. This is what he said. And he goes on to say this. We just get to the bird has inspired art. Yellowhammer, which is like a little bird in the UK, has inspired artists much greater than Enid Blyton. Now, Enid Blyton wrote about this, and this is why it's hypothesised that they called it Operation Yellowhammer. The Tories are always doing this. They're known for it, in calling, you know, their proposals names, and there's always a reason for the name. And what they think is the reason for this name is the Enid Blyton poem about a yellowhammer, which is all about a little bit of bread, no cheese. In other words, you can, as long as you give people a little bit of bread, they won't revolt. You cannot give them cheese. Give them a little bit of bread, but no cheese, and they won't revolt. It's when they don't have any bread, that's when they revolt. So you can see, in a Conservative's mind, in a Tory's mind, you can see the way they work. They're going to be using this to screw the poor even more than they have done over the last decade, with more measures of austerity. You can guarantee that that is coming in some way if we do end up with what they are calling a no-deal Brexit. So that's my fear. I've said all along I think we're going to have a second referendum. I said that even before the result of the last referendum, and I'd be pretty stupid to change my mind now. However, I can't understand why she's in so much denial like this. She must. She must have some sort of plan going forward. There must be some sort of strategy as to what we are going to do. And my fear is the strategy is, let's have a no-deal Brexit, because that's the only way we're going to be able to get it without the blame of breaking up the United Kingdom resting on Theresa May, because she would be the one. She didn't get the deal, in other words, that led to the breakup of the United Kingdom. She's come out and said that. That's my fear, that we're heading for a no-deal Brexit. Now, if that's the case, bring it on. Bring it on. I don't think it's going to be as bad as they say it's going to be. I don't think it's going to be all, happiness and roses. It's going to be tough, but we'll get through it. If that happens, I still think they're just going to kick this can down the road as far as possible and extend Article 50, though. Let me know what you think. Are they going to extend Article 50? Are they going to get a deal? Is she going to get a deal? Or are we going to end up with a Brexit under WTO rules? What do you think? I'm caught between kicking the can down the road and second referendum and a no-deal Brexit, a Brexit under WTO rules now. I'm caught whether... I don't know what they're going to do. I don't know what's going to happen next. I really don't. I'll stick with my theory that it's going to be a second referendum for now, but it's looking very likely that a Brexit under WTO rules is going to happen on March the 29th, because there is no way that that woman who is lost in a river in Africa right now is going to be able to bring back a deal from the EU at all, let alone get it through the Houses of Parliament. Let me know what you think, and what would you prefer? What would you prefer? I just want to get out. I don't know about you. So there we are. That's the state of play at the moment with Theresa May. Let's go to the chat. Let's move my water over there. She's suffering cognitive decline, says MT Unit. She was obviously really angry at Laura Kunsberg there. You could see she was pissed off at having to answer that 3 times when she hasn't got an answer. I think it will be extended, says Elliot O'Neill. I think it will too. But there are a lot of signs at the moment heading towards, the signs are pointing towards WTO rules. But I do think that they will stop a no-deal Brexit in the Houses of Parliament. I really do. There was already one of those votes, wasn't there, last week, where I think that actually passed, actually. But it wasn't a vote that was sort of in law. It was just, advisory. We'll see what happens. We'll see. I just want to get out. I don't want to be part of a neoliberal organisation like the EU anymore. I want us to be in control of our own destiny. At the moment, we're not. We're just not, because the EU, the way the EU is structured, its whole it's designed. I've said this before. I'm echoing Mark Blythe's words here, but the whole thing is designed. It's a neoliberal construct designed to drive Western European wages down to Eastern European levels in order for efficient exporters like the UK, France, and Germany, etc., parts of Italy, can compete in the global market against the Chinese. You know, that's great for efficient exporters. That's great for those countries and half of Italy. But it's terrible for the rest of the EU who aren't efficient exporters. It's terrible for their workforce and their wages. And it's terrible for the workforce back home because their wages are end up getting driven down through the floor because of the influx of Eastern European labour coming to this country. So, you know, everybody who's blaming the immigrants, saying it's the immigrants' fault, it's the immigrants' fault. No, you idiots, it's not. It's the assholes. It's the assholes in government. It's their fault, and it's the corporations for taking your job and giving it to somebody else that they can exploit even more. As the great Jimmy Dore explains brilliantly. That is what it really comes down to. I hate this demonisation of immigrants. I really do. Blue Balls 51 says, Gordon Dimmack, does she ever not look pissed off? Oh, she looks quite happy when she's, you know, barbing Jeremy Corbyn in the House of Commons until he does one of his one-liners and shuts her up. I'm really worried about a no deal, says Nikki M, because I need medication to stay alive. My GP won't let me stockpile. I just hope Project Fear is wrong. I think Project Fear is wrong, Nikki. I think I think it is Project Fear. You know, we're not fucking Venezuela. We're not under massive sanctions. You know? Us having a no-deal Brexit is going to hurt the EU more than it would hurt us. How many times do you hear that in the media? The EU buy far more off us than we buy off the EU. Far more. It's going to hurt them much, much more. You know? How often do they say that in the media? Hardly ever. But no, it's all Brexit threat to sandwiches. No deal Brexit, biggest threat to insert whatever you think will scare the British public the most here. That's what the headlines are. So yeah, I think no deal it really is fear-mongering. And if we do have a Brexit under WTO rules, bring it on. We'll get through it. We'll get through it, and it won't take as long as they're saying. Oh, Colin Darash just said something that crossed my mind a few times as well. People will start calling me a conspiracy theorist for saying this, but I'm just going to say, Colin, I echo your words. I've had these thoughts myself. Gordon, I've got a funny feeling there might be an event to put Brexit on the back burner for a while. Yeah. War with Iran might do that. Just saying. I've got to get to this. So, this... people tagged me in this on Twitter while I was ill. I was lying in bed and I saw this and I thought, you idiot. That's John Bolton holding his book there, 5,000 troops to Colombia for the Venezuela thing. That is straight out of the Alan Dulles playbook of brinkmanship, that is. Make the other side think that you will go much further than you really will. Push it as far as you possibly can without going to war. That's what he's doing there. It's bullshit. Absolute bullshit. And if they are sending 5 troops to Colombia and he's done that on purpose, then fucking shame on him. That's disgusting. I highly doubt it. But not US troops anyway. They might send militia mercenaries there. And I've got a feeling that this might be the way that they try this Venezuela coup with mercenaries the same way that they did in Syria. And that took 7 years to actually get to the stage where it's at now, where it's almost, well, it's in a better position than it has been for 7 years anyway. Mainstream media in America. I love this. MSNBC is proud to welcome sorry, I'll start again. MSNBC is proud to welcome public policy advocate and former senior policy advisor to the Clinton campaign, Maya Harris, as a political analyst. Maya Harris? Maya Lakshmi Harris is an American lawyer, a public policy advocate and television commentator. She's a political analyst for MSNBC. She was formerly a senior fellow at the Centre for American Progress. So this is a woman. Look at this down the bottom. She's currently serving as campaign chairwoman for her sister's 2020 campaign for president. MSNBC, in the, you know, their fairness and balance, have employed Kamala Harris's sister as their political analyst, while she is campaign chairwoman for her sister's campaign. I wonder who MSNBC are going to be rooting for in the upcoming 2020 election. It's a fucking joke, their media was. Gordon Dimmack, is there any truth to this? I don't know. I shall click it and I shall see, Jamie. When BDS fails, Palestinians celebrate. I suppose, well, they're trying to say that some sort of boycott, divestment and sanctions on Israel will hurt Palestinians. I'll read into it. I'll have a look into it, Jamie. I've got a lot to look into, though. I've got a lot to catch up on. Bolton is flouting it as he knows he is untouchable as the deep state love him, says Darren Levy. Yeah, he's running the foreign policy at the moment, not Trump. And that's really scary. You know, you listen to the way he talks and you listen to... I mean, he's always been an obnoxious son of a bitch, but it's gone up to a different level recently. And I think he's got to watch himself. He gets too big for his boots, and Trump will fire him. Hands off Venezuela, says Elioy O'Neill. I totally agree. Right, let's get to this. By the way, just in case you oops. Just something I missed from the previous videos. Brexit news latest. Jean-Claude Juncker tells Theresa May withdrawal will not be renegotiated from the Brussels summit. And of course, it's hell, says Jean-Claude Juncker. He says his job is hell, which Theresa May obviously took offence to, saying she didn't like the language. Unfortunate, isn't it? So, let's open up my other tab so I can start the next story. To help her and her husband, it's her and her husband and all their friends and their donors and whatever. That's I get your point, man. She hasn't. I don't think she's wanted a Brexit, to be honest. I don't think she wants a Brexit since day one, let alone a no deal. I'm just making sure I've got all this done. Yeah, I'm going to end on that. Right, okay. Oh, I've got a background for this. Mark Diamond says, still kind of like Gordo. What, did you go off me, mate? Must have done something wrong. Here we go. I've got a lovely background to this actually as well, so I'm not going to put that on. Thank you, Mark. I appreciate that very much. Hi, everyone. So, Tulsi Gabbard announced that she was going to run for president in 2020, and immediately the smears started and the attacks were ramped up, and they've been snowballing ever since. And to be fair to Tulsi, every time that she's been attacked so far, she's batted away. And I just want to say this, by the way. would be a bit of a different. I know, you know, aesthetics and the way people look is overrated, but it would be a little different, wouldn't it, having that as the leader of the free world instead of that orange buffoon that it is at the moment? Don't you think? It was absolutely, the scenery, everything was beautiful. It was a wonderful, wonderful speech. And it was about, I think her speech was about 35 minutes long. And it was just bang, 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 bang. Every point was points that were going to affect the ordinary people's lives in America. And it's no wonder they're attacking her. They have attacked her non-stop. And this is the sort of thing why.
Nuclear war that could destroy our world in mere minutes. I will end the regime change wars that have taken far too many lives, cost trillions of dollars, and undermined our security by strengthening terrorist groups like Al-Qaeda and ISIS.
Do you think, how many other candidates do you think, on the Democratic side especially, I mean obviously they won't get them in on the Conservatives, but how many on the Democratic side do you think will have a message like that? And do you think that message will resonate more than when we put hope on the ballot, we win? When we lead with our values, we win. Every subject that she attacked in that speech was on point, and every single one of them were things that overwhelmingly the majority of the American people want. And this is why they fear her, and this is why they're attacking her. Now, let's go to my pictures here, because I've got some pictures lined up. So, this is one of the ways that they attacked her. Russia's propaganda machine discovers 2020 Democratic candidate Tulsi Gabbard. This was NBC. Of course, it was NBC. And this is how they they tweeted it out. Excuse me, I told you I'm not over this cough yet. So this is how they tweeted it out. Russian propaganda machine that tried to influence the 2016 US election is now promoting the presidential aspirations of 2020 Democrat candidate Tulsi Gabbard. Yeah, it's not true, unfortunately. But this is what it said. I know some of you will have seen this already because it's a few days old, but I'll go through it anyway. The Russian propaganda machine, this is from that article in NBC, that tried to influence the 2016 US election is now promoting the presidential aspirations of controversial Hawaii Democrat who earlier this month declared her intention to run for president in 2020. So they're saying the Russian propaganda machine are behind it, okay? And an NBC News analysis of the main English language news sites employed by Russia in 2016 election meddling shows Tulsi Gabbard of Hawaii, who set to make her formal announcement Saturday. So this was just before she did her big announcement. She had already announced a few days earlier on the Van Jones show. Has become a favourite of the sites Moscow used when it interfered in 2016. They don't even put allegedly there anymore. There's absolutely no proof whatsoever to back up that statement whatsoever, but now they just fucking say it. Nobody picks them up on it. Several experts who track websites and social media linked to the Kremlin really have seen what they believe may be the first stirrings of an upcoming Russian campaign of support for Gabbard. Where were these social media accounts linked to the Kremlin? Was it Ian 56 Citizen Halo and Partisan Girl by any chance, was it? Again, idiots. Outing real people as bots. Since Gabbard announced her intention to run... Since Gabbard announced her intention to run on January 11th, there have been at least 20 Gabbard stories on 3 major Moscow-based English language websites affiliated with or supporting the Russian government. I know, it's amazing, isn't it? A woman who is popular announces that she's going to run for president and other countries cover that in the news. It's fucking amazing, isn't it? I mean, there must be propagandists if other countries... It's propaganda right now. I'm in the UK. Oh my God, I'm meddling in a US election. Do you see how pathetic this is? I mean, this is not the worst part of it either, by the way. I'll get to that in a minute. Since Gabbard announced her intention to run, there have been 20 stories on 3 websites. RT, the Russian-owned TV outlet, Sputnik, a radio outlet, Russia Insider, a blog that experts say closely follows the Kremlin line. The CIA has called RT and Sputnik part of Russia's state propaganda machine. Really? So that's what they say. This is what Glenn Greenwald said. NBC News to claim Russia supports Tulsi Gabbard relies on firm just caught fabricating Russia data for the Democratic Party. Really? Really? And now you're employing the sister of Kamala Harris, NBC. I'm sure your reports are going to get much more fair and balanced, aren't they? NBC News published a predictably viral story on Friday. Of course it was viral, same as the Luke Harding bullshit article, that went viral as well. Claiming that experts who track websites on social media linked to Russia have seen stirrings of a possible campaign to support for Hawaii Democrat Tulsi Gabbard, but the whole story was a sham. The only expert cited by NBC in support of its key claim was the firm New Knowledge. We have known all about them for a few weeks now, which just got caught by the New York Times fabricating Russian troll accounts on behalf of the Democratic Party in the Alabama race to manufacture, you know, some sort of crap, basically. I missed out the last bit of that, but here's what the article says in depth. Let me just move that from the side so you can see it properly. To justify its claim that Gabbard, as the Kremlin's candidate, NBC stated, analysis at New Knowledge, the company the Senate Intelligence Committee used to track Russian activities in the 2016 election, told NBC News they spotted chatter. It's like an episode of 24 related to Gabbard in anonymous online message boards, including those known for fomenting right-wing troll campaigns. They love that word, don't they? Fomenting. They're fomenting discord. What NBC amazingly concealed there is a fact that reveals its article to be a journalistic fraud. The same firm, New Knowledge, was caught just 6 weeks ago engaging in a massive scam to create fictitious Russian troll accounts on Facebook and Twitter in order to claim that Kremlin was working to defeat Democratic Senate nominee Doug Jones in Alabama. The New York Times, when exposing the scam, quoted a New Knowledge report that boasted of its fabrications. We orchestrated an elaborate false flag operation that planted the idea that Roy Moore campaign was amplified on social media by a Russian botnet. That's New Knowledge, who NBC, who hunts bots on Twitter on part-time. These were their two sources. Seriously, a guy on Twitter that hunts bots at home in his spare time, and New Knowledge, a company that was just caught trying to rig an election in favour of the Democrat over Roy Moore. This is the media. That fraud was overseen by New Knowledge's CEO, Jonathan Morgan. At the same time, Morgan was fabricating Russia troll accounts and using them to create a fraudulent appearance that Putin was trying to defeat the Democratic Senate candidate, as he was exploiting his social media expertise to claim that Russians were interfering in the Alabama Senate election. Do you see what they're doing here? At the same time, Morgan was fabricating Russian troll accounts and using them to create a fraudulent appearance. What is it Sun Tzu says? I'm sure it's Sun Tzu, isn't it? Accuse the other side of that which you are guilty. It's exactly what they're doing, the Democrats. You can't trust the fucking Democrats in America. You can't trust well, you can trust the Republicans to be evil. You can't trust the Democrats. Oh dear. Where was I? Morgan used his own fake Russian accounts to lie to the public and deceive the internet, the national media, into believing that Kremlin-linked accounts were trying to defeat the Democratic Senate candidate, when in fact the accounts he was citing were ones he himself had fabricated and controlled. So this is, you know, it's basically. I've got experience with internet marketing, as I've said many times. So if I set up let's say I set up a company that. I don't know. So I set up a company that said, "Oh, we need to guard your system against these bot accounts," and then attack their system with my bots, and then said, "Hey, you've got a bot problem. I'll take it away for you. I've got you." And they'd say, "Okay, right, okay, we'll pay you," and then I should just stop attacking. That's essentially what they're doing here. They're doing something to fearmonger people into buying a service off them, and then just he should be in prison, this guy, dude. This is fraud. He should be in prison, but of course, he's a deep state wonk, so he won't be. Even worse, Morgan's firm is behind one of the recent Senate reports on Russian social media election interference, as well as the creation of the infamous Hamilton 68 dashboard, constantly used by US media outlets to claim that its enemies are supported by the Kremlin. That tool has been so abused that even some of its designers urged the media to stop exaggerating its meaning. Even the owners of a Hamilton 68 have said, stop using it. Stop using it to exaggerate what you know, stop it. During the Alabama race, Morgan, in the tweet he deleted once his fraud was exposed, cited the Hamilton 68 data that himself manipulated with his fake Russian accounts to claim that Russia was interfering in the Alabama Senate race. In response to this scam being revealed, can't quite read that, it's a little bit too small. In response to this scam being revealed, Facebook closed the accounts of 5 Americans who were responsible for the fraud. So the people NBC are using, they've been kicked off Facebook for fraud. That's who NBC are using. That article's still up, including Morgan himself. So he's been kicked off as well. The prominent social media researcher who's the CEO of New Knowledge. He also touts himself as a State Department advisor, computer propaganda researcher for DARPA Brookings Institution. Beyond Morgan's Facebook suspension, the billionaire funder and LinkedIn founder who provided the money for the New Knowledge project, Reid Hoffman, apologized and claimed he had no knowledge of the fraud. A victorious Democratic Senate candidate who won the Alabama Senate race, who repeatedly cited New Knowledge fake Russian accounts during the election to claim he was being attacked by Russian bots, Doug Jones, I remember this, insisted he had no knowledge of the scheme and has now called for a federal investigation into them. And I remember he said that this is, you know, this is fake, this is some sort of fake Russian bot thing, and the press derided him for coming up with such a conspiracy. I distinctly remember it. It's mind-blowing. It's mind-blowing. I can't believe I can't believe they can do it and get away with it, and then come down on people like me for spreading stuff that's false. They never mention why it's false. They just say, oh, it's fake news. Why? And can you point to anything? No, it's just fake news. It didn't stop. Like I say, I've had to redo this video because she went on Morning Joe. I think yesterday morning. Yesterday morning, the day before, I was in bed and I caught it because Glenn Greenwald tweeted it out, and Wallid caught this on Twitter. This is her on Morning Joe. It's 4.5 minutes long. I'm going to have to... I can't just play it all. I'm going to have to stop it in parts. But I will play all of this because it's glorious. Just take a listen.
Do you think Assad is our enemy?
Assad is not the enemy of the United States because Syria does not pose a direct threat to the United States.
Bingo! There you go. Perfect. Perfect answer. Does Iran pose a direct threat to the United States? No. Okay. They're not our enemy. Does Russia? No. Okay. Not our enemy.
What do you say to...
There was quite a pause there after she answered that, wasn't it?
To Democratic voters who watched you go over there, and what do you say to military members who have been deployed repeatedly in Syria?
It's incredible, isn't it? It's incredible. What was his name? The guy who died last year, the senator. I've forgotten his name now. Why is his name just gone out of my head? When he died, you know, they weren't talking about him going over to these other countries and hobnobbing with the leaders of Al-Qaeda and ISIS and factions and militants and all that sort of thing, were they? No, they applauded it. Here's Tulsi going over, and the Democrats didn't like it. She did brilliantly on this.
Pushing back against Assad.
People who have been deployed to Syria have been there focused on their mission, which has been to defeat ISIS. Our troops have not gone to Syria to wage yet another costly, destructive regime change war. And many troops I hear from express frustration at the fact that our country continues to wage senseless, costly regime change wars, followed by nation-building missions, leading to situations like we see in Afghanistan. So many examples of our troops being deployed, their lives put on the line, without understanding what the clear mission or objective is and how that mission actually serves the security of the American people in the United States.
That is brilliant. That is brilliant. If people hear that, they're going to love it. And I'll get to this in a bit. John McCain, Blue Pels has just said in the chat, John McCain, I don't know why his name went out of my head then. But that's great. If people can hear that, then she'll get support. And that's the thing. It's hearing it. I don't think the corporate media of it in America have quite cottoned on to the fact that if you get people on in their own voice who are anti-war, they'll end up being popular and it'll backfire on you. As it's done over here with somebody. I'll get to him in a bit. But this goes on. She was great on this. Is just 4.5 minutes long. It's wonderful.
States. Which I think a lot of Americans would agree with you there. But again, going back to Assad is not an enemy. Is he an adversary?
What the fuck? Joe, what does it fucking matter? Aye? If anything, we should be fighting with Assad against ISIS and Al-Qaeda because that's who he's fighting. They never fucking bring this up on Morning Joe or any of these shows, do they? What the fuck does it... All they are trying to do here is a gotcha question to say, no, Assad isn't our enemy, and then they've got their headline and they can do their bullshit propaganda. That's it. You can see they've gone into that studio with one thing on their mind. Let's get her to say something that can be a headline tomorrow that we can smear her with. That's it.
Of the United States.
We have to look to who poses a threat to the United States and the American
I understand that, but there are a lot of people who don't pose a direct military threat to the United States who consider themselves to be adversaries of the United States.
So fucking what? The United States spends $700 billion on its military. Do you think anybody's going to fuck about with them with a war or anything? You've got problem with terror that's a problem of your own making. Over the last 4, 5, 6 decades, let's face it. But that's it. Nobody's going to pick a fight with America. They're not fucking stupid. Honestly, you listen to these anchors in America, it's like they think that they think over history, Russia has attacked them every decade for the last 200 years.
Vladimir Putin poses or considers America to be an enemy. We consider Russia to be an adversary.
No, he doesn't, actually. Vladimir Putin doesn't. You listen to Vladimir Putin speak, Joe. He actually calls them our partners in America. He doesn't refer to them as the enemy or adversary at all. Might be adversary, maybe. But he refers to them as our partners in the West. That's what he refers to them as. So that's a bit of a bullshit anyway. Certainly doesn't refer to him as an enemy. I don't know whether he said enemy or adversary there. I've forgotten now.
I'm just asking you, do you consider Assad to be an adversary of the United States?
When I look...
They're just trying to get her to say something so they can write a headline and spare her. That's it.
At whether it's Syria or Turkey or Russia or China or other countries in the world, I look at what are their interests and are their interests counter to our interests.
So what would you say he is to the United States? If you cannot say that he's an adversary or an enemy, what is Assad to the U.S.? What is the word?
He's a president of a country in the Middle East. A president of a country in the Middle East. That's it.
You can describe it however you want to describe it. My point is that whether it is Syria or any of these other countries, we need to look at how their interests are counter to or aligned with ours.
Are Assad's interests aligned with ours?
What are Assad's interests?
Assad seems interested in the slaughter primarily
let me play this.
of his own people, in part. I mean, how does that line up? Survival,
I mean,
yeah,
exactly. Let me start
aligned with
again.
ours.
Are Assad's interests aligned with ours?
What are Assad's?
Are Assad's interests aligned with ours? What are Assad's interests?
Assad's interests.
Assad seems interested in the slaughter primarily of his own people.
Really? That's propaganda, isn't it? That's propaganda, yeah. Assad fought back quite viciously against people who he considered those from outside his country who were starting a coup. He fought back quite viciously against them, and I condemn him for it, even though, you know, there wasn't much really he could do. And you see what France do. The French police are doing to the yellow vests. I mean, obviously Assad was worse, but you got to say, what do we know with facts from those times? You know, she just says slaughter of his people. You know what? So do fucking Saudi Arabia, you stupid woman, and they're your closest, one of your closest allies. You know, what do you think Israel is doing right now with Palestine? You never bring the slaughter of those people up, though, do you? This is fucking propaganda.
In part, I mean, how does that line up? Survival, yes, exactly.
Well, he also
and he seems to be willing to go to great ends to do that.
He also uses weapons of mass destruction on his
adversary.
So does America. You fucking idiots. Oh. Which was the biggest weapon of mass destruction ever used in history? Who dropped it? Were the Japanese actually going to surrender? And there was no need for it? Yes. Who used white phosphorus in Vietnam? Who's used white phosphorus in Iraq and Afghanistan? You fucking do. And with regards to Syria, as Tulsi's going to go on and explain, listen, we don't know who used them, and you got to ask, who benefits?
Well.
I mean, we can talk about all these things. My point here is...
Is it important to talk about these things?
It's
that he uses chemical weapons on his own people?
Of course, of course. It's important to talk about how our military is being used, what it is costing them, what it is costing the American people, and whether or not those missions, those objectives serve the security of the United States and the American people.
So do you think, Congresswoman, there should be any United States troops stationed in Syria?
No?
I don't believe there should be.
None at all.
But if
it's illegal to have them over there. You haven't declared a war. It's illegal. So it's illegal under your own constitution. It's illegal under international law. You're not invited. You're there uninvited. You haven't declared war on the country. It's fucking illegal. Mr. Newsman, who should fucking know these things and actually report on them. Tulsi corrects him.
Again, this goes back to how are we making these decisions? The many leaders in Congress and even leaders in the administration are saying we should keep troops in Syria to counter Iran. There has been no war declared by Congress against Iran. There's no authorization legally for the United States to maintain troops in Syria. So whether it is in Syria or in other parts of the world, we have to determine, are these missions worthy of our service members' sacrifice? And do those missions serve the interests of the American people?
You've expressed skepticism in the past that Assad, in fact, used chemical weapons on his own people. Do you believe he's used chemical weapons on his own people?
Right. First of all, do I believe that Assad has used chemical weapons on his own people? Probably. Do I believe that the rebels have used chemical weapons on the Syrian people in order to point the finger of blame at Assad? Abso-fucking-lutely. That's the 2 points I would say. Tulsi, obviously, she's a bit cleverer than me.
I certainly think it's possible. The evidence that my skepticism in the past has been solely on saying, show us the evidence before you deploy U.S. troops into military action. Because I served in Iraq, and I...
No, can't have that. I'm sorry. You're asking for facts, Tulsi. You're asking for evidence. You are an Assad propagandist if you're asking for facts and evidence. I've just showed you how David Baddiel thinks that anybody asking for facts and evidence with regards to Russia is a Putin puppet, so you're definitely an Assad apologist. I know it sounds pathetic me saying that, but essentially, this is what the press are doing in America. And exactly what Morning Joe are trying to do there. They're trying to get to say something so they can get their headline and smear her, which is too damn good.
Understood what that cost came when the American people were lied to and presented false evidence where we started off a new war.
Do you think chemical...
How often will a presidential candidate bring up the fact that they were lied into a war?
Weapons were used at all in Syria?
Absolutely.
And so if it was not Assad, who would have used them?
There has been reports that chemical weapons have been used not only by the Syrian regime, but by other bad actors and terrorists within Syria.
You know,
Al-Qaeda, Al-Nusra, ISIS, Jaish al-Islam.
There are people who will watch this and have heard your previous comments and wonder what's going on here. Why you met with Assad?
I'm interested in the truth.
Why it looks like you were...
Why you met with Assad, for fuck's sake? Trump's first visit was with Mohammed bin Salman, who went on to be responsible for chopping up a Washington Post journalist. That was his first visit overseas. I give you your mainstream media in America.
Very cozy with Assad, and why you've sort of taken his side in this argument.
What would you say to that? That is a line that comes from political opponents or people who are not interested in actually confronting the truth about U.S. foreign policy, what it should be, and the problems and the cost that has come to us because of this flawed and destructive policy.
That was brilliant. That was Tulsi Gabbard being her brilliant self and deflecting all of those questions away. It was really effortless the way she did it as well. She's very careful with her words, and she's got to be. She's got to be. She's got to be intelligent and careful with her words, because the first slip up, they will be attacking her. And I know this because I've seen it with this guy over here. They do it with anybody in the establishment who is anti-war, and they do it constantly with him. I mean, this was Comrade Corbyn the Kremlin stooge, Corbyn and the commie spy. This is all Russia baiting. Anybody who is anti-war in the public eye, any politician who is anti-war, and throughout history, they've always attacked them. So Tulsi, I'm afraid, and Tulsi supporters, if you think that this has been bad over the last few weeks, the attacks that she's got in the press and the smears and the slanders by people like Barry Weiss, who, to be honest, she's not even fit to lace Joe Rogan's boots, let alone somebody like Chris Hedges. These smears are going to get worse, and they're going to get more and more pathetic. And you know what? It happened with Corbyn, didn't it, in 2016? They ramped them up. But then all of a sudden, when he got on the campaign trail, he concentrated on broadcast news, and people heard him in his own voice. And if people can hear her in her own voice, first of all, her message with peace is going to resonate with everybody, whatever they are on the political spectrum. Left, right, centre, doesn't matter. Communist, it doesn't matter. Nobody wants war. They all want peace. Just a huge majority, it's like 7 or 8 out of 10 people, something like that. It's going to have cross-party support. And then when you come back to her home policy as well, and you look at the fact that actually she's got some socialist policies, some big socialist policies in her platform, like Medicare for all, like a Green New Deal, for all you people out there who like the marijuana, she's put forward a bill to legalise marijuana. And I honestly, I can't say enough good things about her. I think she is the big hope in America at the moment. And I was hoping that she was going to be the next president back in 2017. So when she announced, I was very happy. But she is going to get attacked more and more and more.
Like so many.
You know what? This sort of thing is why, because she put this out, I think this was out just after she announced on the Van Jones show. And again, enjoy it. This is what I hope the next president of the United States' thoughts on peace are.
Like so many of you, it is painful and disheartening to see how much divisiveness is being fomented by those who wish to tear us apart. We have people in positions of power who are not thinking about the well-being of the people and our planet. Where is that conversation about the needs of our people? Where is the conversation about peace? Every time we launch these interventionist regime change wars, it is not only our veterans who pay the price for that.
Every single one of us pays the price. We have spent trillions of your taxpayer dollars to pay for these wars, taking those dollars away from our communities and our people who need them right here at home. We are the ones who have the power to make change. It takes every single one of our hands, our hearts, and our voices, motivated by this love and aloha, to take on those forces and those obstacles that can seem too great to overcome. There is no force more powerful than love. This is how we come together as Americans. This is why we fight for the future that we hope will be so much brighter for those that we care about, for the country that we love.
That was just wonderful. It really was. It was wonderful. It's wonderful to have a candidate, you know, who really does have a shot in America, who is so vehemently pro-peace. I fully support what she's doing. I hope for my friends in America that she gets a shot in 2020 and she gets a shot to enact what her policies are, and the weight of public opinion swamps the establishment. Because that's what it's going to take to actually change anything. Her becoming president alone is not going to change the world. She's obviously going to face massive backlash from the deep state within. It's going to be the people who are going to have to drive this. And I hope they fully get behind her. And I hope that she gets on TV more and more. And I hope that she gets attacked more and more by MSNBC, because every time, and the others in the mainstream media, because every time it's happened so far, she's actually come out on the other side looking better of it. And this is the big thing. She's got cross-party support, and that you just saw is why everybody left, right, centre is against war. It's only a small minority that are pro-war, that the neocons and the neoliberals. The majority of people are pro-peace. We want to end to these wars. And once you actually combine that with her home policies as well, and her progressive policies, it's a slam dunk for me, I'm afraid. And you know what I think might seal it? Bernie hasn't announced yet, and she has spoken to him. I'll wait and reserve judgment, because there are rumours that he is not, I have seen, going to run, which would mean he's going to put his weight behind her without a doubt. We'll see. I still think he will, don't get me wrong, but he hasn't announced yet. So we'll see. But yeah, this is why they're going to come after her, and we've seen it over here with JC. If you're anti-war and you've got any sort of socialist tendencies, hey, the media, the establishment, they're going to come after you and they're going to attack you with everything they've got. And remember, in the last election, Jeremy Corbyn, 8 weeks before the election, Jeremy Corbyn was 20 points behind. He was slandered, he was smeared, he was attacked, he was 20 points behind. The campaign started, and he ignored the print media, went straight to the broadcast media, because he knew that people had to listen to her then, in her own words, and her words resonate right across the aisle. Tulsi 2020. I'm really excited. I really hope she wins. Thanks, everyone. That was a long one, that was, wasn't it? So far, I'll be voting for Tulsi on Super Tuesday in 2020 if she makes it that far, says Kinky. Solidarity with you, Kinky. I wish I could vote for her. Oh, if Bernie doesn't announce she's got this, says Joe Hickey. I do listen to the commentators in America because, you know, Carl Kalinske especially has been right on so much. And he wants as many centrists to enter the right as possible, so they split the vote. What you don't want to do is end up getting 3 at the end, Tulsi or Bernie versus 2 centrists, because, you know, you're going to struggle then. We'll see. It's early days. It's early days. But if if I was a betting man, I'm not anymore, but if I was a betting man, I'd be putting huge amounts of money on her, because they're just going to attack her so much. And you know what? whenever they attack people over here now, when they keep attacking him, his support goes up whenever they attack him. Just like when they attack Trump, his support goes up. It's going to be the same with Tulsi Gabbard. I can just see it. And I've seen it over the last couple of weeks. I think it's going to get worse. She's our only hope here, says Stephanie Sunderland. I think she's your best hope. There are a couple of hopes. I think AOC is a hope. I think Ro Connor's a hope. And obviously Bernie, but I don't know what happened to Bernie. I don't know whether he just... It feels like he gave up. After 2016, it feels like he bent the knee and gave up and submitted to them. That's what it feels like. Because he hasn't called them out on anything. And that's what his support wants. I mean, look at this from Tulsi. This is standard sort of stuff. CBC News alerts 150 people rescued from slavery in Libya have been resettled in Canada. Immigration Media Minister Ahmed Hussein says another 600 are expected within the next 2 years. This is how the news will report it. Yay, look, 150 people rescued from slavery in Libya. She rightly points out this is not a humanitarian victory. This is an attempt to clean up the horrific results of the US-led regime change. Remember, Libya was the richest country in Africa pre the invasion of 2012 and 2011-2012, richest country in Africa. 5-6 years later, slave markets in there. Slave markets. Thank you, Kinky. Thanks, Gordon. You're the best. She says peace. Thank you. Yeah, slave markets over there. Open air slave markets. Richest country in Africa it was a decade ago. And now we're going, yeah, look, yes, the West is so great. We've saved 150 people from slavery, and there's another 600. We're the ones who caused the hundreds of thousands of slaves over there in the first place, but shh. Bernie and Tulsi met before she announced they have a plan, says B Green. I think whoever you know, whoever the best man or woman is halfway through, the other person becomes the VP. I think that's probably the sort of deal they've got. That's if Bernie runs. Like I say, he hasn't announced yet. It's if he runs. We'll see. Bluebells 51. I think Bernie has spent the last 2 years putting together the infrastructure to run as an independent if the DNC screws him over again. I don't think he'd run as an independent, Bluebells. I don't think he'll ever run as an independent in a presidential election. There's a theory that he doesn't want to end up like Ralph Nader. That's the theory. The theory is they think he doesn't want to end up like Ralph Nader. Remember, Ralph Nader was blamed for, was it Bush winning in 2000 or 2004? I can't remember now. Yeah, they still hate him as well. Abby Martin made this connection. They still hate Ralph Nader. They say he gave us George Bush. Love George Bush though. Strange that is, isn't it? It's too early to announce, says Kingley. Didn't Bernie announce late in 2015 for the 2016 one? No, it would have been 2014, wouldn't it? I don't know. Can't remember. Patricia Brannigan has a different idea. She says, Gordon, none of the progressives will win. They are stacking the deck for a second vote and the superdelegates will not choose a progressive. Yeah, they're going to stack the deck. They're going to try and cheat. Honestly, I Have you seen the support of these centrists? Have you seen? You know, what Kamala Harris is standing for? Just my hair's messed up, man. What Kamala Harris is standing for, and you know, you listen to all these other people. Kamala Harris is funny. It's just words. That's her campaign launch thing. It's just words. Hope, fear. It's just. These are words. We love them. That's you know, it's nothing like Tulsi. Tulsi was inspired. Tulsi's gave you goosebumps. Hers was just no. That's not going to inspire anybody to vote for them. And I get the feeling that the tide is turning, not just in America but worldwide. Maybe I'm in a bubble, and that's why I'm getting that feeling. We'll see. All right, let's. I've got a video to play. Close that down now. I've got something coming up that you're going to be amazed at this. You're going to be shocked I'm going to do this because I'm going to praise CNN. I'm going to CNN did something good. Okay, video played, and that's it. Hi everyone. So, America's been arming Al Qaeda again. Yeah. It was about 6 months ago I did a report on them arming Al Qaeda in Syria. This time it's in Yemen, and I can't believe I'm about to say this, but well done, CNN. Yes, it was CNN that broke this story. CNN did something good.
And American armoured vehicles litter the road. Welcome to Yemen, where weaponry made in America is sold, stolen and abandoned, and making its way into the wrong hands.
TV from Oshkosh Defense.
When she says wrong hands, she means obviously Al Qaeda.
The influx of weaponry is prolonging the conflict. On our way back from the front line, we spot what we've come in search of.
Just look at this.
It's absolutely
look at that. Look at all that American weaponry.
Incredible. We're driving past
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's
and it's like a graveyard of American military hardware. And this is not under the control of coalition forces. This is in the command of militias.
Al Qaeda,
which is expressly forbidden by the arms sales agreement with the US.
I bet some of those machines are worth $500,000, $1 million quid. Seriously, those machines are seriously expensive. But each one of those represents, I mean, if you want to, you know, forget modern monetary theory for a while, but each one of those represents, I don't know, about 200,000 of the US's tax dollars. It's just in one place. That's what's happening over there now. They're ending up going over there in this war in Yemen that the Saudis are spearheading, and we're helping them. The UK and the US are obviously aiding them and abetting them. And this is what's happening. We're giving the military support, and the US are giving military to the Saudis and the United Arab Emirates, and they're just handing them over to Al Qaeda. There's reports all over the place that this is happening. The press have actually jumped on it. They've done something good for once. So for once, I'm going to say well done to CNN. It won't last because the next video I'm going to be ripping them apart. I promise you I am. I've got it queued up. But I saw this on RT, because obviously I don't watch CNN. RT covered this. RT were like, well done CNN as well. It was on the Rick Sanchez show. And Rick Sanchez said something I didn't realise. So all of those weapons you saw there, I'll get back to it.
Shells of millions of dollars worth.
So all of those weapons over here
of American military hardware, and this is not under like a
so that big military graveyard there, all of that, if you like, you could say is paid by taxpayer dollars. I'd like to say, push my MMT to one side at the moment, just to make a point. So all of that, nothing to do with taxpayer dollars have paid for them, taxpayer dollars. Do you know, Rick Sanchez mentioned this on RT. Saudis don't pay income tax. The Saudis didn't pay for any of them. The Saudis are fighting a war that the people aren't paying for, but the Americans are backing them with money that the people are paying for. It's really, honestly, if I was American, I'd be going through the roof at the moment. There's no way, if this happened in the UK, yeah, there would be an uproar. At least I hope there would. And what annoys me the most about this is a war that has gone on now for what, 4 or 5 years that we shouldn't be involved in. We shouldn't. They overthrew. They had a coup over there in Yemen. They overthrew their government, which wasn't democratic, and they demanded elections. Then they never got them. So they ousted him after he had finished his term, and then Saudi Arabia declared war on them. This is what happened. The media always miss that. They just said, oh, the internationally recognised government. They don't say it's internationally recognised by about 5 countries or something like that. No. They just say internationally recognised. And this has been going on for years now, and we are supporting it. And America is supporting it. And no doubt some British hardware, if we actually have any over there. We are called the borrowers, and our troops are called the borrowers by the Americans, because they say that we're always trying to take their stuff off them. But no doubt our stuff is ended up in the hands of Al-Qaeda. Correct me if I'm wrong. On Al-Qaeda, the group that they said bombed the Twin Towers. So, I mean, if what they're alleging is true and it was Al-Qaeda that was behind that, why are you giving them weapons now, you fucking idiots? It makes no sense. If I was an American, I would be going absolutely crazy about this story. I would be going crazy months ago, to be honest, because there was a similar one like it that CNN didn't cover in Syria. But, I mean, this is a war over there. 85,000 children have been killed so far in that war. 85,000 innocent children. Over a million contracted cholera in 2017 alone. So it's got to be over 2 million now. Because the Saudis, as I covered in a video, bombed the cholera treatment factory in Yemen on purpose. We know it was on purpose because they were told 5 times it was a cholera treatment factory by the Red Crescent. But they bombed it anyway. So that's over 2 million people. 60% of those people are children. So that's over 1 million children probably who've caught cholera. It's 2019. And we've seen a country with the largest cholera outbreak in history. Half of the country are starving to death. 14 million people starving to death. Because we're supporting the Saudi Arabia in a war that we've got absolutely fucking nothing to do with. Nothing at all. And then seeing the weaponry that America is giving Saudi Arabia to fight the war ending up in Al-Qaeda fucking hands. You have to say, at what point does American foreign policy actually go, okay, all right, it's time to do something different? Because I know it says Trump there, and that's only because of the cartoon that I picked. But it's not Trump that's doing this. This is Trump that's doing it obviously now, but it was Obama before him. It was Clinton before him. It was Bush. It was all of them. We've got to stop these wars, because this is what's happening. There's always blowback. It always comes back on you worse than it would have had you just stopped out of it. So just get the hell out of it. And this is why we need people like Tulsi Gabbard to actually come in and just say, no, that's enough. Let's get the fuck out. And if the neocons want to try something, fine. I'll take them on. It needs somebody with balls. It needs somebody, to be quite honest, who isn't afraid of getting assassinated. Because let's face it, the last person who was vehemently against things like this, yeah, he took a bullet in the head. I hope it doesn't happen, obviously. We need to get out of these wars. We've got to. You know, why do they hate us? Why do these other countries hate us? 85,000 kids dead. 85,000. Over 2 million. It was over 1 million in 2017, so it's got to be over 2 million now. People with cholera in 2019 because of a war that we're involved with that's got fuck all to do with us. A war that wouldn't even be able to... The Saudis wouldn't even be able to take off and bomb Yemen if it wasn't for our giving them the green light first. We can stop this. We can stop this happening. We can stop these innocent people being killed. We can stop these innocent people dying of malnutrition and starvation. We can stop seeing weaponry end up in the hands of fucking terrorists that taxpayers have funded. Push MMT to the side. I'm making a fucking point. Shut up. We can stop this. All we've got to do is stop. I hate that story. I hate that. How can we let weaponry go to... Who the fucking hell are these people? They're making these decisions, you know? I've got to show you this. I've got to show you this. I'm sorry, I can't. I'm going to laugh uncontrollably at this, and how I am. By the way, not this one, by the way. I'm not going to laugh uncontrollably at this. One of the things that I noticed when I went down to London was the amount of homeless people down there. I think I mentioned it on a live stream. Every main road in London, there's at least 4 or 5 homeless people in there, at least. And the Mirror did a report. I'm going to do a video about this, a larger video about it, because forced on the streets, the mum whose unborn baby died out in the cold, the hard-working builder who broke his back and lost his job, the wife evicted on her birthday, dispatches from 24 hours on the homeless front line, which we will horrify the nation. It was really good, this was. And there's been a couple. And this is all happening as a result of the neoliberal policies that have been inflicted on us by the last 30 years of Tory and Labour neoliberal governments, neoconservative governments. I'll do a longer video on this, but this really, it was something that I noticed when I was down in London. The amount of homeless people down there really did quite shock me, to be honest. And it needs a light shining on. As for the other thing, this just... Come on! Who thought that was a good idea? Come on, who thought that was a good idea? So Gucci launched this balaclava knit top black. Go on. Balaclava knit top. I mean, they'll probably charge about 500 quid for it or whatever it is, but who thought that was a good idea? First of all, it looks terrible. But there's a massive backlash over it because apparently they've been accused of doing blackface. I can see it actually with the red lips around there. Seriously, who thought was that? Can you imagine the meeting that they were in? Imagine somebody, they were in a design meeting in Gucci, and somebody had to present that to his boss and say, or her boss, and say, "Look, I've designed. What do you think of this?" And somebody at Gucci went, "That's awesome. Yeah, let's do that." The fuck? Oh, good. Flower Power is just mentioned in the chat. Great for facial recognition cameras. That's a good idea, isn't it? I think it's the glasses as well. I fucking love that. I love that. Oh, dear me. Right, I said I was going to come down on CNN, wasn't I, in the next story, so I better. Yeah, she gets excited. When I get excited, I get excited. Somebody just said, "Oh, my doggy heard you laughing." Yeah. I know, Bluebells. That had to get through. That had to get through a committee. That had to go through several people before it made it on the shelves. What the fuck were they thinking? Oh, God. Right. So what have I got to... 9C to 9-1. Okay. I have got a tab I need to open. I said I was going to come down on CNN in the next video. Have a drink. Right. Hi everyone. So we all know CNN sucks, right? They really do suck. I've just done a video that congratulated them. It's the first time I've done a video that actually said, well done CNN. I think I've only done it twice in a year, but whenever I catch them doing something good, I always make a point of saying it, but it's happened twice in a year. Every other story has been like this, because they and MSNBC and the Washington Post and the New York Times, etc., they are the worst purveyors of fake news. And this is the article, Venezuelan army defectors appeal to Trump for weapons. This is their big article that they wrote, and I might have to just alter this slightly so I can fit everything on. No, I don't. Oh, I do. Yes. Just move that across so you can see it in full. There you go. So this is the article from CNN, and RT were reporting on this. I know, I'm reporting on RT. I'm a Russian bot. Don't tell Louise Mensch. CNN's Venezuelan army defectors, not in army, not defectors, actually don't live in Venezuela. Wait, what? So this is the title of their story, CNN. Venezuelan army defectors appeal to Trump for weapons. Venezuelan army defectors? Oh, that's serious, because army defectors. But it turns out the CNN's Venezuelan army defectors are not in the army, not defectors, and don't live in Venezuela. That's a threefer. Well done, CNN. This is hilarious. It's bad. It's terrible, actually. Oh, shit, sorry. Wrong one. No. I'm going to have to move this about. I haven't got this set up. Very unprofessional of me, isn't it? Very unprofessional of me. Let's not take me away. So, close inspection of the uniforms worn by two self-proclaimed Venezuelan army defectors interviewed on CNN earlier this week has revealed that they are not who they say they are and probably should not be given guns. As Venezuelan soldiers, we are making a request to the US to support us in logistical terms with communication with weapons so we can realize Venezuelan freedom, one of the alleged defectors told CNN. You can see where it's going, can't you? Their inconveniently timed appeal came alongside ramped-up efforts by the US to institute regime change in the oil-rich South American nation, installing pro-American opposition leader Juan Guaido into power. The two claimed it to be contacted with a network of disgruntled army units and defectors ready to rise up in arms against recently pro-elected President Nicolas Maduro. That's what CNN said in their consolidating its branches in 2008. The fact was easily confirmed by paying attention to their badges, which still read FAN, Fuerza Armada Nacionales, whereas all Venezuelan service members today have badges which read FANB, Fuerza Armada Nacional Bolivariana. It's easy for me to say. Despite framing the story as if the two are recently defective active duty members deeply connected to the internal life of the Venezuelan military, in reality the two are former soldiers who live outside the country, a fact CNN itself admits in the story attached to the video. So they don't mention that in the story, they put it in the video though. Good propaganda, CNN, well done. It seems that claiming loyalty to Guaido alone was sufficient justification to give the world's newest moderate rebels a platform to request deadly deadly arms, regardless of the fact that it is not entirely clear who the two actually are, or where those weapons would end up if they went to them. One would hope that the US would exercise more caution. Of course they would. I mean, you know, more caution. They always exercise caution in matters of war, don't they? And arms. This time around, given their track record of arming freedom fighters abroad that later end up turning their guns on the Washington handlers. This has happened time and time again. Obviously, I've just done a story about weapons ending up in the hands of Al-Qaeda in Yemen as a result of, you know, meddling in other countries. Although the US has yet to actually begin shipping the opposition arms, Washington has been unwavering in its support. This week, Trump chatted with another self-proclaimed authority figure, interim President Juan Guaido, promising to keep in contact and offer support. That support includes $20 million, humanitarian aid packages, and access to Venezuelan state assets in American banks. So in other words, you can have your money, but Maduro can't. Yeah, so RT have basically hit the nail on the head there with what my evaluation of it. This is them rushing. This is them seeing something that's like, that promotes our narrative that there's got to be a regime change in Venezuela and the Venezuelan people are for it, and, you know, it's going to happen very soon. This supports our story. We've got to get this out. So they rush to judgment and they don't fact check things. And CNN have done this constantly, especially with matters related to Russia, and now we're seeing it with Venezuela. It's strange, isn't it? I want to give you a little taster here of what sort of shit the media do. For instance, this is a picture of a pro-Guaido rally, and this was tweeted out by CBS News, and they all do something similar. All of them of these, they'll all show the pro-Guaido rally. And look at this from CBS News. Look what they say. Venezuelan opposition holds a huge rally amidst first major army defection against Maduro. So this first major army defection, turned out it wasn't an army defection. They weren't in the army. They weren't in Venezuela. It wasn't a defection. But also, anything that's a pro-Guaido, they're publishing. Whereas trustworthy news sources, you can get the opposite side of things. Just look at that. Look, there's the picture. There's the picture for Guaido. Here's Maduro. Look at this. This is literally the same day, I think. Look at the size of this crowd for Maduro. Look at that fucking thing. You don't see them putting that on the TV, do you? You don't see that on the mainstream media. Why? Because it doesn't follow their narrative. It doesn't follow the pattern. It doesn't push whatever they're trying to push, or whatever the government are trying to push that the media are obviously jumping along with. No, what they would rather do is show pictures like this. It's a smaller crowd, but let's show that and not show the pro-Maduro rally. This is propaganda, is what it is. It's propaganda, and to be quite honest, it's fucking fake news. Let's face it. It's fake news. And I have no doubt CNN, well, let's face it. I went to the article and saw the article, read the article, and that was only yesterday. Whether it's still up, I don't know. But the chances are, it is. Chances are, hasn't even got an editor's note. If it was The Guardian, it definitely wouldn't. And this is the state of our media, folks. And this is why, and I hate keep going back to this, and I don't want to keep harping on about it, but it's why we really do need, all of us, and I'm practicing as I preach now as well. I realised that today. All of us need to invest in media. If we can do, we should. So I took my favourite 3 sources of information, and I became patrons for them today. If you can afford it, please do. And I'm not saying become my patron. Whatever your independent source of information is, whatever your favourite 3 is, support them, please, with whatever you can. Because otherwise, this is the shit we're going to end up with for the rest of our lives, for your children's lives, for your grandchildren's lives, and people who are telling the truth like me, and people on Twitter like Sarah Abdallah, who rightly you know, tweeted this out, we're going to disappear, unfortunately. We need your support. So please support independent media, because otherwise this is the shit you're going to get. And this is the shit that's going to lead us into more wars, into more conflict, into more death, into more destruction, into more wasted money, into more lives lost, into more misery, into more disease. Sooner or later, things blow back on you. You know, it's about time we got out of other countries, especially democratically elected countries, for Christ's sake. If they had an election there, he'd win. Guaido would not win. And then they would call it rigged. Because that's what the media do. Support independent media. We are giving you the truth. It's the fucking mainstream media. It's the shitheads at CNN and MSNBC and the Washington Post and the like, and obviously all the ones over here in the UK as well. They're the ones who are pushing actual fake news like that. Can you believe that? So there weren't army defectors at all. Ex-army officers living in a different country, and CNN didn't even fucking check. That's bad. There is let's see, CNN articles. It's still up, says Nikki M. Patreon sent me an email about who you supported on Patreon. Isn't that a breach of your privacy? No, because there's an option. I want everybody to know. Okay, this is who I support. Those are the three I support, and as I get bigger, I will support more. I want to try and say, right, okay, once I get to a certain stage, you know, I want to be able to say, right, okay, I'd love to be able to say a massive percent of my advertising revenue, or put a percentage of my advertising revenue and have that go to other independent news. That's the plan anyway. So I haven't formed it all in my head. And I'll come to Patreon. I watched a video by Tim Pool on Patreon, and I'm worried about them. I really am. I might do a video about it actually, because it's in depth. I mean, they are looking at turning over or processing $500 million worth of patronage this year. Patreon are, and they get 5% of that, so that's $25 million that they get just for processing stuff. $25 million this year, that's how much they get. And their CEO has come out in an interview and said this is not sustainable. What the fuck? It's not sustainable as a business model, he said, because they're only getting 5%. They're only getting 5%. Now the people like me, we get less than 90% of the stuff that comes from Patreon, because we have to pay out, and then there's fees from there to PayPal, etc. So essentially, it's just a payment processor. So I've set something up on my website. You can go to the website, gordondimmack.com, go to how to support me, and there's a drop down, and you can literally set up a recurring thing straight through PayPal instead of going through Patreon. So if ever Patreon does go tits up, and it took them about 6 days to process this last amount of patrons at the beginning of February. It took them about 6 days. It should take them about 6 hours. And I've heard from people that, hold on a minute, my card's rejected. I'm sorry they rejected my card, Gordon. You know, they shouldn't have. Patreon are fucked up. Patreon are fucked up big time. They've done something, and I'm a little bit worried. So if you are a patron of mine, do consider going to my website and changing your patronage to the drop-down menu straight through PayPal to avoid that happening. And also, if you do that, I don't get charged the 5% from Patreon either, for essentially just being a processor. So that's something to consider. I'll do a video on it, another video on it, I think. Oh, somebody just said, can you imagine, these bluebells, can you imagine how much we could do with the money that we waste on war? I don't even want to think about it, mate. Could certainly do a Green New Deal, that's for sure. Do you know the story? I won't do that one now. Ah. I thought I had another story, but I don't. I haven't got it logged up. I haven't got it lined up. Yeah, I've got another 2 stories to do, but I haven't got them lined up, so... Shall we? I haven't got the thing set up. I can do them in the morning there. Shut everything down, cool. Thomas Rittenhouse, I became a supporter of Gordon. Thank you very much, Thomas. 2 months ago, because his views take in the big picture, support independent media, love the true voices of journalism. Thank you very much, Thomas. Really appreciate that. Gina says Florida Marquee uploaded. Failing badly, DC flips the script. Now we're supposed to be afraid of Venezuela. Yeah, they have. They've started saying, "Oh, Venezuela are a threat to America." Because they're like they're a good channel that Florida Marquee is. I'm not 100% convinced of some of the stuff he says, but there's a wealth of it. Especially he looks back in history really good, really in depth rather, really good. Sound like Trump. He looks back. His historical context is great, and yeah, good subscribe. I don't know who told me to do that, but I don't get a chance to watch enough now there. Gordon needs to set up a Bitcoin. Oh, a Britcoin. I was going to say I've got a Bitcoin thing. You can see below this, links below this. A Britcoin. I wonder if there is one, because that's a good name, that is, Snorky. Britcoin, a new UK British cryptocurrency, the Britcoin. That's awesome. Hey, Oswizzles and Jamie. Right, I think I'm going to end on this now. Yeah, I haven't got the... Can I do it without it? No, I can't. I can't. I'll do that. I promise I'll do it. I've got a story on how why cannabis is going to be a big... it's going to be a big year in the UK for cannabis. It's going to be a big year. And thank you, Zip, for high quality reporting, sir. Thank you. Thank you. I really appreciate that. Thanks very much. Yeah, on why I think 2019 is going to be a big year for the cannabis things over here, especially if we get a general election and Corbyn wins. We'll see. But yeah, I'll do that video tomorrow. I'm pretty sure I have got it set up, so I've literally just got to do that slide. No, I haven't got it. I know I haven't done it. That's a pain. Sorry about that, everyone. I was hoping I was going to get another story done, but I think I've done about 4. So, right, I'm going to end the stream on that. I think hopefully you enjoyed it. It's certainly nice for me to get back. It's certainly nice for me to actually go through a 2-hour live stream and only cough twice. Ordinarily, I'd be in tears from coughing over the last week, 10 days. It really has been that bad. Every year is a big year for cannabis in the UK, says Nikki. I think this year is going to be... there was an article in the on the UK CSC by Greg DeHoyt, who's the guy who actually runs the UK cannabis clubs, of which I'm a member, by the way. It's £28 a year. I suggest, if it's something that you are interested in, support them. This could be huge because it's us that are going to change it. It's not the government, it's us. With the police's support as well. That's the thing. With the support of the police, we will change this. What do you want? What you doing? What? Every live stream you do this. Every time I do a live stream, she knows when I'm wrapping up. Yeah, I'm going to try and get Greg on for an interview, actually. Greg DeHoyt, who's the sort of the... Go on, lie down now. Go on. I'm going to try and get him on. I think Phil James has spoken to him and asked him, but he never replied. So I'll send him an email and see if he wants to come on for a conversation, because I fully support what he's doing at the UK cannabis clubs. And it needs more members. That's the thing. It needs more people. It needs to be more of us, basically, just going out there and going, cannabis is illegal? Fuck you. Arrest me then. That's what we need. It needs 2 million of us to go out and go, yeah, come on, then arrest us. Put us all in the fucking cells. Go on. And see how they handle it then. That's, I told you, there's a bit of a rebel in me. I love that dog. Says I bought you. I do too. I do too. Look at her. Look at you. Come here. And say hello. Did you paw? She wants to go out. She wants to go out for a wee. Yeah, she wants walkies. That's what it is. Yes, and Joe Hickey just said blaze for freedom. That's exactly what I'm going to go and do now. Right, I shall be back. I've got, what, 3 or 4 videos from today that I will release over the next couple of days. And I'm also going to be recording videos, plenty of videos tomorrow and on Saturday as well, to make up for the last 10 days that I've been ill. I've got lots of stories that I want to catch up on. Thanks, everybody. Thanks to everybody for supporting me. I love you all. And, yeah, I'll see you all tomorrow. Peace, everyone. I'm going to end on this as well. Free Julian Assange. You always say hello, don't you? At the end of a live stream, you always say hello. You know it. Come on then, shall we? Turn this off first.